Hey everybody, how you doing? Pichcast episode 5 here. Special episode today. No other stuff in front because I did 2 hours, over 2 hours, with my good friend Justin St. Louis. He's a well-known racing publicist. He's called races. He's um, written about them. He does a podcast now called, and man, he's had a storied career already. And is deciding to walk away. And we talk about why he wants to walk away. This is going to be a two-parter today, ladies and gentlemen. So here in part 1, you're going to get some talk about podcasting. We talk about how it is to create either of our podcasts and catch up on that a bit. We talk about racing. We talk about his racing career, his love of it. We even dabble in my racing career, which is an interesting time. Then we talk about the Habs stinking, and we talk about Canada and some of the border shenanigans that we've had over our times. And that's just this first hour. So sit back, enjoy a conversation with Justin and I. You know, a lot of times when we're in the same room together, we drop a lot of comedy and it's a fun time. And we haven't really ever recorded anything we've done since the radio show back in the day, which we end up talking about at 1.2. It was great to do. So we're going to do it again at some point, but it was good to catch up because I've only seen him once since the pandemic hit. So, we talked for, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half in person in Vermont once. So we still had a lot of catching up to do and some stuff to figure out. And it's very interesting to get his take on a lot of different things. So without further ado, here we go. What it do? How was Willis? How was Williston?
It's every bit as exciting as it always is.
Oh, you got the big boy mic there.
I got the blue Yeti.
Yeah, I may have to move to that at some point.
It was like 130. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think this one was like maybe 90 originally or something, but I had an Amazon gift card, so it was practically free.
They owed you money.
It was one of those situations where Pops had an Amazon gift card, doesn't know how to work it, and so he just gave it to me.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, okay.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I can't use this. I don't know. It's like, yeah, you just scratch off the back and put that code in, and then it's free. Like,
what's a lottery ticket?
He doesn't understand.
Have we started? I hope this is all part of it.
I started recording already because
right,
how many times have we been talking and I've said I wish we recorded that. This may be the first time we actually are. Yes. So yeah, there's no like official start. I can always cut stuff out or whatever as we go. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just about the shooting the shit version of it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's been here's what I want to know. Because the last time we spoke, we didn't really talk about it, but I want to know a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah.
So rap about it for a bit.
So it's called Uncommon Deeds, which is a line from Ken Squire. I know you know who that is. His famous line back when racing actually meant something was, "It's a sport of common men doing uncommon deeds." So like your neighbor is the hero for the night, you know?
That's true. That's very true.
So yeah, you were that guy. You were that guy.
Yeah, I guess so. For a while,
like 5 times.
It's true.
Yeah.
We can get into that in a bit.
Yeah. Well, we will. So my buddy Tom and I used to do the radio play-by-play broadcasts on WDEV here in Vermont, and that went away a few years ago for some reason. They just stopped calling us. So we wanted to kind of do something together, and with the pandemic, you pass the time and start a podcast because that's what you do. I mean, you started 2 of them. So
I waited till after the pandemic, though. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I should have started it earlier.
Yeah. Well, we're I think we started in the first episode actually dropped in February. So we're still, in the midst of it, I guess. Anyway, yeah, we've been doing that, and we talked to old racers and some new racers, and It's been fun. It's grown way more than we expected it to. So
That's good. I mean,
like
anytime
we're on the verge of selling merch. Like it's that good.
Oh man, that's a level we want to get to. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got sponsors and stuff. Like it's
See, that's what's up. That's where you need to get. But I knew you'd roll in the right direction because, yeah, I mean, for people who may not know, if you're not into short track racing in New England and probably Canada, you might not know what Justin has been doing for the past bunch of years. But anyone who's in that community knows you. So if I ever run into anyone who knows anything about racing, I can name drop you.
Yeah, I got a guy,
and it works.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you know that guy?" It's like I was in that guy's wedding. So yeah, I do know him.
It's funny, we went to a craft fair or something a week or two ago here in Middlebury, and there was a UVM Zamboni Matchbox car.
Oh.
And it was 25 cents. And I was like, I don't care that the front axle is like smashed out of it. I was like, Evelyn's got to have that. My daughter, she's 4. And she's like, what is this car? I was like, it's not a car. It's an Olympia ice resurfacer. And I know the guy who drives that. She's like, what? So I've got a guy too, and that's you. Yeah,
yeah, used to be a guy there.
We are D-list Vermont celebrities. No, but like you're still very recognizable. I would say more so than me, because you were in front of a much larger audience. And by that, I don't necessarily mean the grandstand, but Burlington.
True.
And so your face was in front of a lot more people than mine ever has been.
Right. And plus I wore sunglasses while I was doing it and just had mad swag.
So much. It was dripping.
Yeah. When I was doing stand-up comedy for a while, like for that year, I might have reached like C- level celebrity.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like only imagine if they would have had that comedy club when I was there, like how often I would be on that stage.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Have you been there at all yet?
No. And my friend Meredith is a frequent stand-up there. And I know some other people that have done it too, but Burlington is far enough away from where we live that it's hard to get there after work or whatever. So no, we haven't been yet.
Yeah, we're talking about the Vermont Comedy Club.
Right.
I know the owners, Nathan and Natalie. I took some classes with them. And yeah, it's I've been to a couple shows there. I saw Brad Williams there and somebody else, and their name escapes me, but I've been to 2 or 3 different shows there. It's a great venue. It's really nice.
Yeah. So Meredith Gordon is a girl that I went to high school with, and we've been very good friends since that time, since before high school. She opened for Ron Funches a while back, which is like, hey, that's all right.
Yeah. Funchamania, man. I love that guy. Not only is he funny, but he's a huge wrestling fan. So
is he? I didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, massive wrestling fan. Yeah,
really
got a little bit of my spirit animal. If you could put him and Brad Williams together, who couldn't be 2 different guys visually, by the way, the small midget comedian and Ron Funches are on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, but you put those guys together, this guy,
that guy. Yeah. Wow. Oh, so what have you been doing lately? I know that you're the host, but I'm gonna ask you questions too.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. What have I been doing? I've been mostly just
Tell
working
the listeners
and doing podcasts. This one, and then one with my cousin called Court Cousins, which is just about the Orlando Magic, which is such a small niche of people. But we're in the Orlando Magic community. We're coming up. There's a lot of there's like 4 or 5 other main podcasts where we've kind of made friends with some of them by like backing their stuff, and they back our stuff a little. So we're kind of on the rise. We're, much like the Orlando Magic. We're a young team coming together, and hopefully we'll figure out how to win games soon.
It's really almost exactly like what we're doing with our podcast, and it's an even smaller niche because it's New England short track stock car racing. Like, who the hell cares outside of New England short track racing fans?
At least you're doing your podcast in the region in which it matters.
Yeah, but an NBA team is global. Whether it's a winning, if it's the Lakers or it's small market, it doesn't matter. It's still a global thing.
It's true. We've already talked to some guys from Australia, and there's a group of people in the UK. They actually have a logo that looks pretty cool. And it's kind of amazing. It's like, why would you like them if you live there? And I'm like, okay, I'm from Vermont. Why do I like them? So, I mean, everybody's got a story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I found that too. Like we expected this to be like, a couple of our buddies would listen to our show.
Right.
And I just got a text this morning from a guy in North Carolina, who I've never met him in person. And he's
Right.
like, hey, love the show.
Yeah.
Listen to it a bunch. So,
well, one of the things I think, I'm going to toot your horn, is that like, I mean, I'm not a huge racing guy. I've dabbled, and we can get into that later, but
Mhm.
I mean, like, you're just a good personality. So like chances are pretty good that, there's some people listening that just are there for you, or there for the banter that you have with your co-host. Like, I'm kind of hoping that because people will get to see me and my cousin just jawing, that maybe they'll find it entertaining on that level. He's actually going to be on the show next week on this show, so we can
Right.
see us talking about something that's not the Magic, and hopefully it will draw some of those people in.
So I will admit that because I don't know anything about basketball or the Magic, I haven't
Right.
watched a whole bunch of the Court Cousins stuff. Hi, kid. My kid's
Right.
here. But I tuned into the beginning of a couple of episodes, and I'm like, why is Kyle so professional about this? Like, that's not the kid I know.
That's like
what
his,
is this?
that's his thing. He's a teacher now, and I think he's kind of embraced that whole, like, he's kind of the point guard of the show. So, unlike when I did my show Talking Trash, where like I was running point, like I just kind of sit back and get to jaw, and it's pretty fun because we both put a lot of effort into it. We only do it every other week, so it gives us plenty of time to prep. And then it gives him plenty of time to edit it. So it would be nice if we could do it more often, but it just doesn't work for us right now to do that. So during the season, we're doing it every other week, and we get like 2 weeks. It's like 7 or 8 games usually to
you've got a lot to talk
evaluate, and there's a lot to talk about. And somehow it just always comes out funny. I don't know how that happens, but
that was one thing that Tom and I did with our show, is we went weekly. That's friggin' stressful, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a lot of work, because not only do we have to line up a guest, who's willing to talk for an hour and a half about their entire career. We also have to do the research so we know what we're talking about a little bit.
Yes.
And there's graphics, and then there's putting it together, and Tom does all of the audio side, the actual tech stuff, and so he's got 3 times as much time invested in it as I do.
Right.
And that's stressful for him. He's got 4 kids, and so it's every other week. Would have been way better for our schedule, but we found that people lose interest if you're not weekly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of 6 of one and 38 of the other.
Yeah, I mean, we're a little worried about that, but we got to get a base first to see if we're losing them. So.
Right. No, that's it. And we never wanted to obsess about numbers, but we do. And that's kind of what's made us continue to go weekly.
Yeah.
Like that was never the point, was to get listeners. We just wanted to hang out,
Right.
But then it turned into something, and we're like, oh shit, now we have to do this.
So. Yeah. Well, like my cousin at first would have said, I think he even said it on a couple of shows. He's like, I just like getting together and doing this with you. If people watch, they watch. If they don't, oh well. But then every once in a while, he'll send me a text and he'll be like, our YouTube video got 65 views. And it's like, okay, so what? but I guess, but we have to start caring, because at a certain point, when you have a certain amount of followers or subscribers or clout, as it were, you can start to have, sponsors. Either on YouTube or just on the corner of all of your shows. Like, I mean, there are opportunities to make money here down the road. So if we want to start getting more serious about it, it can be something. Like, he's already started an LLC for us, and like,
we've got one too.
It feels super official and super adult, which is not words I should say as a 42-year-old man, but every once in a while it feels like, wow, I'm adulting.
Oh, I'm a small business owner. What? It's a little bit terrifying.
So what are you doing now? Because you've recently walked away from what you were doing currently. I still see you're coming into us today as Devil's Bowl Speedway, but
I had that signed in. So my background, I've worked in racing since I was 16, and I'm 38 now. I wasn't full time when I started by any means, but I was racing, and I was also doing some freelance writing stuff at that time. And I'm in high school,
Yeah.
And I really liked it, and I was good at it. Not the driving part, but the writing part. and which you can confirm. And but I got hired, whether it was intentional or not. I got some job opportunities, and one thing led to another. And by the time I was 28, I guess I got hired to work at a track here in Vermont called Devil's Bowl Speedway, which was closed at the time. My boss, Mike Bruno, he and his wife bought the track and kind of rescued it. Otherwise, it would be gone. There would be no Devil's Bowl if they didn't come along. And the guy who was selling it, who was full of cancer and dying, put us in a room together and introduced us and said, "Hey, you're going to buy the track, and he's going to work for you and run the place." And we're like, "Okay, nice to meet you," kind of thing. And that's how it happened. And we had a couple of good years at the beginning, and then we had some really bad years in the middle, and now we're back to being good. But the schedule, especially in the summer, is 60, 70, 80 hours a week sometimes. And my outlook on life from 28 to 38 has changed significantly. I have a house and a wife and a daughter. And I'm like, oh, the schedule's not for me anymore. Yes, daughter. Look at those amazing pictures. She's hanging stuff on the wall. I'm in her playroom right now, so this is my fault, not hers. But, yeah.
Well, I think, you're definitely, I remember, because I was always working a lot in the wintertime, and my schedule would be crazy and I wouldn't see anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the summer would come up and then you'd be gone. So like, I've always felt like we didn't really hang out as much as we probably should have.
No, we lived together and saw each other twice during that year.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you have one of those seasonal jobs, it's weird how people have to just get comfortable with, hey, 4 months, I'm out, or whatever it is, 6 months, depending on how busy you get. And it's a lifestyle change that as you get older, you start to evaluate and you're like, I have missed a lot of things.
Yep.
And maybe it's time for a change. And I'm kind of getting to that place myself. It's cool to see you already started that. What do you think you're going to be doing with all the extra free time? Or are you going to try to get a part-time job somewhere, or what's the
No, so I've got a full-time job lined up. I'm going to be working outside of racing at a screen printing and sign production place, doing kind of cool. For whatever reason, I've always been into that. I think you would be too.
Yes.
Making t-shirts and hanging signs and banners and stuff. So, that just kind of happened. Me getting done was 6 months planned. At the beginning of the season, I told Mike that I wanted to be done at the end of the year. But then this job lined up really quickly the last month or so. And, so I'll be doing that full time. It's 15 minutes from the house, whereas I've got an hour drive each way to the office now. So that's cool. Yeah. The hours are better. There's a little bit of a chance for overtime. What? Can I show everybody? It's a snowman. And
I'm excited for the snowman now.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
This is Evelyn. There's Evelyn. Can you say hi to everybody since you're here? That's a hard no, but she's just going to crawl around.
Well, you're in her place. So.
I am the problem right now. But I'm going to not work in racing for at least a little while. Because it's going to have to be all or nothing for me. Because I know that, you can unscrew the syringe, but the needle's still in the vein, kind of thing. And I got a job offer. Wow, that's really high up. How did you get up there? I got a job offer.
Wait, is your daughter Spider-Man?
She just climbed the side of the couch. I don't think I could reach that. Way to go. So I got a job offer from another place when the news came out last week or 2 weeks ago that I was getting done. But the guy has a race team, and he's like, you don't have to be involved in the race car or anything like that. I was like, no, I don't have to be, but I'm going to want
to. But you would be, yeah.
And so when you're leaving on a Friday at noon to go to a race in, Northern New York, I'm going to be like, I think I'm going to punch out and go with you, and then let Linda know I'm halfway there and I'm not coming home for dinner tonight. So, that's what I wanted to pull out of. And leaving Devil's Bowl was my decision And I told my boss before I told my wife. So like, I think it was like 2 days before I told her. And I was like, hey, I gave Mike my notice. She's like, bullshit, you did. I said, no, I did. So it was something that I wanted to do. She didn't know that it was coming. She knew that I wanted to make a change at some point, but I said it every year, every season. I was like, I got it. This sucks. I hate doing it. I don't want to do it anymore.
Do you feel like it killed your love for racing a little bit, or like, because I know when you work closely to something that you love, they always are like, oh, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But it's like, well, sometimes work is work. And even if I'm driving Zamboni for a big game, or you're out going to races all the time, at a certain point, it is work, and you feel like you have to go do these things, and it kind of ruins the way you see something that you used to love.
So I've worked full time in racing for, like, it's been my income for 15 years, maybe longer, really, since you and I were living together. That was the start of it. And I always loved it beyond reasonable. Like, it was all I did all the time. It's all I obsessed about until there was, in 2015, we not only had Devil's Bowl, but we promoted Airborne Speedway up in Plattsburgh, New York, which is about 2 hours north. And we had, so Devil's Bowl at the time was a paved track, and we also built a dirt track in the infield of it. So we had 2 race programs going on at the same time, which is a lot. And then we took on Airborne, which had its racing, and it also had a go-kart program that was very successful. So we were racing 4 nights a week and traveling 2 hours in each direction, and with a staff of 3. So, that killed it for me right there. Like, that was, and I'd met Linda at that time too. We were 6 months into our relationship when we made the decision to take over Airborne, and that only lasted for a year, but it was like, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, and it was just one of those, instant things. Sleeping on the side of the road 2 or 3 nights a week sucks when you can't stay awake to get home.
Right.
And I did that a lot. And I was also going to Thunder Road on Thursday nights, because I was freelancing for the papers and doing radio. So I'm on the road literally 5 nights a week, and working full time during the day. So that killed it for me. But Devil's Bowl was struggling so hard, and I had already invested so much time and energy into it, that I was like, I don't want to leave this place while it's down. I want to build it up. We had a long range plan to get the track back to dirt full time, and we saw it through. And it just happened to be my 10th year. So it's a nice round number, but that wasn't a plan. But we look back at the end of I look back at the end of last year during the pandemic, which I really, that year made me appreciate things a lot more and kind of stop and smell the roses, because we raced without fans for 3 weeks. That sucked. Like, I'm the announcer and I'm sitting there.
Who's that for?
Yelling into a microphone for nothing. Literally the cows next door was our audience at the farm. And, I turned the volume way down because there's no bodies there to absorb that sound from the speakers, and it's reverberating through the hills off the grandstands. And it sounded like freaking, it was just massive sound for nothing. Like, we're putting in all this effort for nothing. And, he was losing his ass financially every week on that and all that. But going through all that made me realize, hey, this could go away in a second.
Yep.
And really gave me some perspective. So I really actually enjoyed the last 2 years more than I ever had anything. But I also knew that my priorities were different, and I just wanted to be done.
I think we all took a look at our job, whether they were forced to work at home or whatever it was, and said, is this a necessary thing? Right. And much in the way, people like racing, but they don't need racing. It's not a, you know what I mean?
Or hockey.
Yeah, people don't need to come to a ice rink. They don't need it. Like that was always my argument at first. Is I'm just like, hey, if people don't feel safe coming back, they don't have to come here. It's not. You know, it's not a hospital. It's not a grocery store. You know, it's an ice rink. If you don't feel comfortable being out, we're not forcing you to come here. Right. Society doesn't force you. So it's, but it makes you think, oh shoot, if this happened again on a larger scale, you know, they just shut stuff like sports down, and then, what are we all doing? We're sitting home doing podcasts and playing video games.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so that was where my head's at. But I still love racing. I still want to go and see people, and 95% of the people in my life are from racing, so to just cut them out would be stupid. I know you because of racing. Really in a very direct way. I would not have met you or anybody else that we hang out with because without racing. So no, that's not like I'm giving up on racing, and I have some ideas for the future that I want to help the sport. I'm a big history guy, as you know. Kind of that's my thing, is the stats and the research, and I can tell you about all 23 tracks that operated in Vermont in 1950.
I would find you more reliable for any old racing information than any computer ever thinks it would be.
Right. But I don't know. I just don't want to have it rule me right now.
Yeah, I think it might be good to step back from it a little bit and then refresh, because I don't think you're ever going to stop loving racing. It's too big a part of who you are. Yeah. And it's really how you got into it, is you just kind of like put your head down, you were there, you were willing to do stuff. You did a lot of work for free to kind of like show what you can do, or at a discounted price, just to like show what you can do. You're always just there, and you got the job because you cared enough, and you kind of created your own position in a way by like being there and making, putting your foot in the door and be like, I'm going to be here, I'm doing stuff. And eventually turn into that's a very like skill that I don't see as much anymore with younger people coming up. So I think it's cool that you did that, and you're just like, I'm just going to be here, I'm just going to do this. And then next thing you know, you're moving up and you're doing things. And it's like, that's awesome when that happens, I think.
Yeah. Cause it was all by accident. I didn't even consider the fact that there was such a thing as a career in motorsports.
Right.
When I started, I was just like, this is a hobby. I was blogging before that was even a word.
Oddly, it's a career known for its accidents.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
That's what I do.
Yep.
I derail thought processes by making stupid jokes. I got dad jokes, even though I don't have kids.
Oh, can you text some to me, because I'm running out here every now and then.
Oh my God, Jason Lestage and Sean Seacard. I mean, those are two of the wettest dad sponges out there.
What?
Yeah, they're sponges of dad jokes. Just ring them. Just get some of that. Get some of that on you.
No, I heard you.
We haven't talked about any kind of runoff at all yet. So what the hell? We haven't used one good Mad Lib word.
Oh man, pan squeezins. That was a Mad Lib.
Before we get away from racing, let's talk about Two Tails quickly. Let's talk about man, I don't even know, what do we refer this to? The Peanut Gate and the whole.
Oh man.
That was a scene.
The 2004 Milk Bowl. Yeah.
Oh, that was the 2004 Milk Bowl. Just take me through the short version of what went down that day, and I'll fill it.
So, for the uninitiated, the Milk Bowl is the biggest race in Vermont.
Yes.
It's at Thunder Road, which is a track in Barrie, which is one of the most famous tracks in the country.
I hear it's the nation's site of excitement.
That's it. So all eyes are on this weekend. Mm-hmm. And I was working there, and it was the first time I ever announced at Thunder Road. It was the first event I ever did, but it wasn't my first event, working. I was announcing in Plattsburgh for 2 years before that, but Thunder Road gave me my shot on the Saturday program of the Milk Bowl, which is just the fun day. It's not really that important, but I also bought a Geo Metro race car for $160. And they had they had a division called the Junkyard Warriors, which is exactly what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I've got this race car and zero plans. And I know a big man who kind of says he always wants to try it. I was like, well, let's put that big man in this tiny car. I mean, you were sitting in the trunk.
Pretty much, yeah.
So we put you out there, and I'm announcing that division, which is just phenomenal.
It was fun
because I'm that kind of guy. Like whether you're in that race or not, those are my people
for sure.
And then you went out there and you had a pretty good race going, but then you got dumped on the last lap and got flipped over.
I had the best ratio of fun and everything to the $160 spent on car. I would have probably in the history.
Yeah, no, fun per square dollar was high.
Very.
But like, not only did you flip, and I'd made a big deal out of you being my roommate at the time and driving my car and all this stuff. And were we roommates? I don't know. I slept there enough that we were probably
maybe,
but I'd made such a big deal out of it anyway, and then you crashed. And of course I lost my mind, but you landed on your wheels and fired it up and drove away. And that was like the first time you'd ever driven a standard too. So we were all concerned about that.
Yep.
But you came around and finished. I think you had 5 flat tires on that thing. And it was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I remember I had an air horn in the glove box that I took out and I honked. And I ended up doing a victory lap by accident because after I landed back on my wheels, I thought the race was still going. So I just like took an extra lap around and everyone was going bananas. So I got the air horn out and was like, meh, meh. And I was like,
oh God,
that's it.
What a good time.
That was good times. I forgot that was also part of that weekend, but that was
your first race.
It was.
Yeah.
Nothing like starting at the Daytona 500 of short track racing, right?
Fantastic time.
Still one of the only times I've driven a standard car. Like if I ever have to drive one, I'm going back muscle memory to that time.
Yeah.
In that Geo Metro and like, okay, I do have my 5-point on. Is the helmet on? Because I don't know how to do this.
Window net.
Yeah. Why is there 3 pedals? This is confusing.
Yeah. By now there's probably a YouTube tutorial, right? You just put that on the dashboard.
There's gotta be. Yeah, good point.
So that was just the start of that night though. And
it's a 2-day event, so there was going to be another
so there's a party. Saturday night is always a party if it's not raining, even if it is raining, which it usually rains. But back then they had this kind of barbecue cookout thing that they called the Calcutta. That there's this big pavilion at Thunder Road that at the time they would do this as like a fundraiser on Saturday night after qualifying for the big cars, the late models, the guys in the Milk Bowl. And they would auction drivers off, and it was open to anybody. And it was a big fundraiser basically to put the money back into the purse. So, the guy who finished 10th made like $10,000 or $12,000 from this Calcutta because somebody bought him and paid for him for a bonus for that. Because anyway, I went over to that to eat some spaghetti dinner. And so the race car had been loaded up on the trailer. This is my father's truck and trailer. And we brought it out to our camping zone, and
which is basically just an open field.
Yeah, like we were gonna just sleep in the truck or whatever the hell we were doing. And so I'm over at the barbecue thing, and I didn't think this through at all. And I left.
That could be put at the end of a lot of stories that you have.
Right. Stick around, folks.
Yeah.
And I get back and everybody's kind of, oh shit, he's coming. Shut up. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And I go over to the truck because it got a little bit chilly. It's late September. And I think I was like going to get a shirt or a coat or something out of the truck. I open the door and it's full from the floor to the ceiling of packing peanuts and paper shreds. Yeah.
Well, that really just was the tip of the iceberg for this story too, because that when you open the door to get that, half of it falls out onto the ground
immediately.
It's in a field right next to the track.
Yeah, it's the parking lot.
It's the parking lot for the track. Yeah. So this stuff gets out, and then eventually you had to scoop a bunch of it out because I think you did sleep in there.
My keys were on the seat.
That's right. The keys were on the seat.
So I had to find them, and you dig for that. And
so you basically played finders keepers for those of you who are like double dare when you had to like find it.
Yeah, it was the showdown. And it had been windy that night, or that weekend, and so you know what happens with that. And at that point I was like, well, I'm already in trouble. There's no good that will come from this, and it doesn't matter that it's not my fault. Let's just have fun.
Yes.
So I was just kind of like, hell with it.
Right.
If I go home to my dad with a truck full of foam peanuts, he's going to kick my ass. If I stay there with this stuff all over the ground, I'm going to lose my job. So
I don't know if we thought that then.
No, I did.
You did.
You
Okay.
guys didn't. I definitely had that thought immediately. But I was like, which one is the better option here? And I said, I'd rather just stay with my friends and have fun with this than go home tonight and have my dad be pissed off.
Sure. We've all made that call at some point in our lives.
Yeah, because he's going to be pissed off no matter what. So I might as well have fun ahead of that.
Yep.
And fun was had. I mean, there were girls doing snow angels. It was a good time. I was upset the whole time, but I was like, this is funny, I don't know where you slept, but I found
not alone, sir.
Hey. All right.
I mean, I slept with 2 other guys in a tent. No,
that's not cool.
No, I slept with a girl.
Yeah, I thought you got some dirt on that worm, and
I did.
So yeah. So
I think that's where the term speed cuddling came from.
Yeah, I think it is actually. I think you're right. You've had success there, and
off the track, I'm very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Ask us about Washington County sometimes, kids. And I found a guy that I knew who had a mattress in the back of his truck. He had like a cap on his pickup, and he had a mattress in there. And he ended up getting another place to stay that night, like staying in somebody's camper or something. So I crashed in the back of his truck, and everybody else just kind of scattered because we're like, yeah, the sun's going to come up and people are going to see this. Because like the track officials didn't know about it on Saturday night. It's dark out.
Sure.
And they just kind of let everybody do the party thing, and they just go to bed because they got a long day on Sunday. Well, at 7 a.m. when the sun comes up and you see that shit, it looks like it snowed. I mean, it was way, way worse in daylight than we had imagined it was. It was everywhere.
Yes. And then cars started to come into park. and there was basically no picking it up because cars were just parking on it. People were
they were parking around it too, like just showing it off. Like if they had parked on it, it may not have been that bad, but they were going around it. Like it was like there's Jupiter right here on these planets that I've drawn with my daughter. There's the big red spot, that storm. That's what it looked like. Like that's what we'd created. And so it was the track owner was Tom Curley. God bless him, rest his soul, that miserable old guy. His son Seamus was a buddy of mine, and he found me in the truck. Whatever, I don't know who told him where I was sleeping, but bang, 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 he knocks on the window. He's like, you better get out of here. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, your friends have already packed up and left, and you're on your own. He's like, we know what happened, and you better get out of here. And I'm like, I got a job to do today. And he's like, I don't think so. I was like, okay. So I one look over across the parking lot, and I saw what was going on. I was like, I'm just going to take my lumps here. There's no way out of this. So I went to work, and then I got totally, ripped apart by Tom Curley that day. And he's like, your job is not to worry about the race. You do not talk about anything else except how to clean up my goddamn parking lot. And I tried for a couple hours, and then I said, screw this. And I snuck back in and did my radio show. But
yep. Yeah, I remember we made a trip back to Burlington, got some lawnmowers with bags on them,
Yeah.
and me, Eddie, and Connie were out there like raking up, packing peanuts and all the shredded paper. And the dumbest thing about this story, if you're hearing it and you're wondering what the hell, why are they in trouble? They didn't do it. That's what bothers me still to this day, is that this wasn't like something we did to you. And so, okay,
Yeah.
all right, yeah, we had our fun, but now we got to help them clean up. It was somebody completely else that, like, I mean, acquaintances with at this point, or at that point, like where it's like you just potentially got this guy fired and ruined our entire day. The race is going on and we're like out in the parking lot mowing in between cars. Like
Mowing
that was
peanuts.
our day. Like,
Yeah.
but and I don't, it was like, well, we got to help him clean it up because they don't want him to lose his job, you know. But it was like, well, how the hell did this happen? You didn't ask for this.
Yeah, and I wasn't even really friends with the people who started it. Like that's what bugged me the most.
I was enemies with them.
yeah, you were, and I am now. In part because of that, but mostly because they're douchebags. And so I found out later that the original plan was to get popcorn and fill the truck up with popcorn, actual edible food.
Right.
And I'm like, well, thank God that they didn't do that, because that would have ruined the truck. Like that would have all the butter and the salt and the whatever, like it would have ruined the truck. And
they would have brought a bunch of birds in the morning, and they would have been shitting everywhere. And it would have
but that would have been better. Like I would have been killed by my father, but I wouldn't have been in trouble at work, because popcorn, whatever, it'll go away. You know, something will eat it, or it will just dissolve. But it was a storm, and yeah, my dad was not pleased. By the way,
yeah, I wanted to talk about your dad just for a second, because the next year we took the same Geo, a different paint job, but the same car, and I intended on racing like the whole series or the whole season. So there was a few races where like I actually just went to Bolton, met your dad, and we just went to the track together. And like your dad couldn't have been nicer to me. He didn't know me too well. But
what's his name?
Exactly. We got to like hang out, and he would like tell me stuff about racing or just chew the fat, and like it was super fun. He was super nice. And then after we only did like maybe 6 or 7 races, I think, to start that season before
something
there was
like
a critical accident that we had to put the car down. But then he made me a nice little plaque with like the key and the plate from the front, which was awesome. Your dad didn't have to do that, but what a
do you
great
still
guy.
have that?
I do still have. I was looking for it a lot today because I wanted to show it on here, but I could not find it. I think it might be in my storage unit in a way, but I do have it because I've seen it recently.
Yeah, we had done a lot of racing. My dad raced before I did, and then he took a couple of years off, and then when I was 16, I started racing, and we had a lot of fun with it. But we spent a lot of money, and I was pretty tough on equipment. I wrecked a lot of stuff. But that Geo was like a fun project. Actually, I had raced in 2004 before I bought that car. And I'd wrecked halfway through the season. But that car came up for sale, and I was like, yep, all right, I want it. And had no plan. But it was a different feel, that car. Like that was just a fun, the car was called the Fun Canister.
Yep.
That was your name for it. And so yeah, that was just something cool to do, and my dad was totally in on it. Like he hadn't really been involved in my racing the last 2 or 3 years that I had raced, because it was just too much work and energy and money and time and blah blah blah. But that Geo was like, if we wreck it, we wreck it, you know, and let's just have fun.
Well, that's why you decided to allow me to drive it.
Yeah, well, and it was, you and Eddie were super involved with it, and it was just like, this is what we're going to do to hang out. Like, we're not taking this serious. And that's why he got behind it. And it was super fun. It was, like you said, it was the best fun per dollar spent that I think any of us have ever done.
Agreed. I mean, and even that was on the expensive side for being the Junkyard Warrior division. When you start getting into gas and having to repair stuff and gas to and from hauling the track, like racing is a very expensive sport, even at the lower levels, folks. So you don't know that. Don't just start for fun.
The first race of the second year in 2005, Eddie's dad hauled the car for us to the racetrack. Mm-hmm. And do you remember this? I locked the keys in the truck while it was running. And like all the tools were inside. It might have started to rain a little bit. And like it was just the dumbest thing possible. But that's what.
But at least you locked
the
the truck that time, so no one could put stuff in it.
Well, I learned my damn lesson. Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. But like it was just a series of dumb stuff. And like that's what it was for.
That's what growing up is. I think at least it was for us, just a series of dumb things.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yep. But then the car wrecked and that went away. Yep. We did do one more race, not together, but together in the Run What You Brung.
Oh, which is similar.
Yeah, and the Daewoo.
Yes, it looked like a cow, I think, right? We had udders on it.
No. I'm talking about your personal car and my.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's when I think that's when Mitch Fantastic and the Magic Man Mike McFarlane were born.
Indeed. Oh my god, yeah, you take your actual car that you run on the roads, like probably the car you drove to get there in our cases, and go out on the track and race. It's one lap, so it's not like it's a huge long thing, but it's still risky.
You lost by a lot.
I lost, but I got to drive away, so I feel like I won.
Right. Yeah.
But I also was taking on wasn't that like a sports car?
It was like a Corvette or something.
Yeah, we wanted to go against each other because it was a Kia versus a Daewoo, and we're like, this seems fair. But then like I got put up against an actual car, and it was like, wow, this is.
Yeah, and I raced like a utility truck or something that weighed 9 million pounds and could go nowhere. So I beat him, but
yeah, I was gonna say you won the first round.
Yeah, I did. Oh my god.
And then I think the guy that beat you in the second round almost flipped. He was way ahead of you, right? And he almost flipped he almost flipped just going super fast. He had 7 carlings on you already.
Amazing.
After 2 turns. And then imagine seeing somebody wreck their street car in this thing. That's why it's so exciting.
So a few years ago, Thunder Road has a wall now. You probably haven't I don't even know pictures, but
I haven't seen it. No, I've seen pictures.
So back then there was no wall, and now there's a wall all the way around it. Yeah. But the year before they put that wall in, they had one of those races, and some guy had, I don't know what it was, like a Toyota 4Runner or a Nissan SUV or something. It was really tall, not a race car by any stretch of the imagination. Very tall SUV, and he went out there and flipped it. Like he was leading and he just got a little bit squirrely and went off the backstretch and got in the dirt and flipped the thing. It landed on its wheels and he drove away and won because the car that was in second stopped and not hit him. And he landed on his wheels and took off. That video went viral. It was awesome.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe I missed that because that sounds like a who.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
It's like we had no regard for human life back then.
Nobody cared about anything except having fun.
Hey, fun fact. Guess how many? Well, I'm going to have you guess because it's maybe more fun this way. How many roommates do you think I've had in my life?
Holy shit.
One is moving out today. One is moving out today, and one is moving in later this week.
You have the number, or is it a guess? Number. You have the number.
I've went through the annals of time and put everybody
47.
47. That's a lot.
I don't know. You've lived in a lot of cities.
It's 31. But
okay, I'm not that far off.
You're not that far off.
You've lived in a lot of cities.
I have. Yeah. But usually you just want to have like 1 or 2 roommates. But I've had a couple places where I've had 3 or 4. And then I've had some times where like somebody moves in, a boyfriend or girlfriend moves in with somebody I'm staying with.
And and like even in the years before I was part of the group, you guys had 3 or 4 rooms with at least one person in each room, so that's where
that for a while.
That's where my number came from. You're counting again.
You were my 11th roommate. Like I already had 10 before you moved in. Yeah.
How old were we when that happened? Because you were my first roommate.
Well, you're a lot younger than me, so
4 years.
Oh, just 4. Okay.
You were what, 79, and I'm 83.
Yep.
Is that right?
Okay. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
My daughter's
building quite the art gallery here. It's amazing.
I feel like this could be a tour that we should be checking out all the art in this place.
I'll take you around. She just fell on the computer.
Yeah, you could turn these things into the non-fungible tokens here and sell these things for some cash.
Yeah. We're gonna exploit this kid. Are you all right? Yeah. Okay.
No children were harmed in the filming of today's Pichcast.
Not yet, anyway. There's plenty of time. And if there's anybody who is going to hurt themselves, it's this one. Yeah. I mean, you know, Al's boy Peyton.
Right. I was going to say he would be my number one contender for that to happen.
Hashtag safety third. Well, the same goes for Ev. Yeah.
Safety third.
Regard. Hey, I think let's stop. Okay. Let's stop. Okay. One last one. Yeah. We don't need to have DCF called because of this podcast. Okay. I mean, she's standing on the edge of the couch on a blanket that's, maybe I can show you before. There, look, not safe behavior.
I did worse when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know. We all did, but all right. There, I put you on mute and told her to buzz off. That was nice about it.
So what else is happening? The Canadians suck, huh?
Oh my God. Like, it's bad enough that I just stopped following this year. Like, I'm not, and I see your hat and I see the stuff in the background and I appreciate it, but nope. Not my jam this year.
I'm with you. I'm obviously following the Orlando Magic a lot, so that's taken a lot of my time. But I can watch the Canadians now on ESPN Plus, so I've been trying to watch games, but they're really so bad that it's kind of hard to watch right now.
Yeah, I subscribe to The Athletic, and so I get the score updates and stuff. Yep. And I'm like, swipe.
Yeah.
Nope.
I gotta imagine
they're losing to bad teams. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it because Dominique Ducharme is a UVM alum, but I'm thinking he might be the problem because I feel like there's talent on this team. And by the way, they were in the Stanley Cup Finals last year, so
right.
I know we don't have Carey Price in the pipes, but it can't be that big a difference. Like, we're not scoring goals, so.
You know what though? I'd rather be disappointed now than have a total collapse in the playoffs, like what happens every year.
Yeah, I don't want to Leafs it.
Oh yeah. I don't want to Habs it. Like, how many times have they made this amazing, a regular season where they're, way over 500 and doing good, and they lose to like the number 7 seed, in the first round. So I don't need that.
No, I mean, I guess I don't either, but I expected them to be, I know their conference is tough, so I figured that it was going to be tough for them to repeat what they did, but it still felt like they'd at least be respectable. Right now, they're just not, and it's like,
let's try.
No, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
tough times.
You know what? It's not me getting done with my job. Like, it has nothing to do with this, but at the same time, like, oh my God, I've got time to watch sports now.
Right.
Like, I used to be a big Sox fan. I mean, you know that. I didn't know much about baseball until I started hanging out with you guys, and I became a Red Sox fan. I haven't seen a Red Sox game in 10 years. Like, I'm going to do that now.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm going to pay more attention to a different hockey team so that I can, appreciate something else. But yeah.
There's a lot of good new coverage now with ESPN and TNT on board, so it's much better than NBC. So when you do get a chance to watch it, you're going to enjoy it because it's so much better.
I heard Gary Thorne was retiring, and I'm like, oh, no, not Gary Thorne. Who's the guy from the CBC? He does all the West Coast games.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm not going to come up with his name, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just lost the other guy a couple of years back, too, that used to do all the East Coast games. He used to do all the Canadians games. I didn't even know that guy was old. His voice still sounded like a dude in his 30s or 40s. Yeah. He just sounded the same his whole life. I started to think about it, and I was like, yeah, he called the Cup final back in 93, and he was still calling games in the 2000 teens, and like still sounded the exact same. Like, I don't know how people.
I don't know. Does that mean we're old?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's crazy to think like people are starting to think about stuff that happened in the 90s. God, that was over 2 decades ago now.
30 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It creeps up on you because like in the 70s felt like an era, the 80s felt like an era, the 90s kind of felt like an era, but ever since we hit the 2000s, it's all felt like one big shitstorm.
Into one.
And there's nothing really that separates them They're just all the 2000s. Like,
you know why? Because the 90s is easy to say and the 80s is easy to say, but the 10s,
right?
The aughts, yeah, that's dumb. This is the 20s. Like, this is the 20s, and all I can think of is like flapper girls, and speakeasies and stuff like that. And I'm like,
oh my god, I hadn't even thought of that. We're back in the roaring 20s,
right? Which I'm cool with. Molly gave him a cauliflower ear, but like, I'm not gonna look back on the 20s fondly. I'll tell you that. At least the way it's going.
Well, yeah, it's not off to a hot start, but
we've got 8 years, but
you can turn things around. And like, even the last 4 years, if the last four are strong, we could forget all about these times.
Yeah. I don't think we can.
I do my best every day to try to forget them.
Yeah. Oh my God. So let's talk Canada, because I feel like we haven't done that yet.
This country?
Yep, that's the one. And we had a lot of good times, like bouncing right out of that Warrior whole U racing thing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good stuff built upon that era.
Guy, I haven't been to Canada since 2008.
Shut your goddamn mouth.
I haven't. We went before I moved to Milwaukee. And then I moved back, and I never went up during that time, that, couple of years I was back, because you needed to have, I think, the enhanced license or something, and it just never came up and never had a chance to go. I moved down here, and I've just never been back up. Like, what is the deal? It's bullshit. I need to get back.
So I think we're going to go next week. My mother-in-law is coming out for just after Thanksgiving, and I think we're going to try and get up there, because we haven't been, since obviously COVID and stuff. We went up January 2020. We went on a couple's date with Eddie and Laura. And that was the last time, obviously, anybody was ever able to go up there. But now that the border's kind of back open-ish, we're like, yep, we're going right now. Yeah. My God.
You should get it. I'm
so
excited for you.
You remember Nick Sweet, of course. So with my podcast, Nick Sweet is a big deal now in the racing world, like a big deal. And before he was a big deal, he used to go up to Montreal with us a lot. And no, he went a few times, but he was there. He was there the night that you forgot your ID in another car, and we were trying to get back across the border.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, he brought that up on our show, on our podcast, on our
It's weird the things people remember.
Yeah. He's like, so do you still talk to Pisha? And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, that guy, he goes, he forgot his ID at the border. Like, who does that? It's like, Pisha does that. Yeah.
Hey, we all make mistakes, man. I kind of forgot about that one.
So do you remember? I'm sure you do. The time we went up and there was nobody at the border coming back home. And you, this is like less than a year after 9/11.
Yes. Oh, yes. I've told this story many times.
Oh my God. Has it been on the show?
No.
Okay. So let's dive right into that. And you drove through the damn border. Like, you waited.
All right. Well, yeah, chill out. It's not like I said, fuck you, America, I'm coming in. We sat there for 10 minutes, right?
Sure.
At least. Yeah. And like, if you're at the border, you'd assume when you drive your car up that someone's going to be at the window, right?
Right. But no matter what time of day it is.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 in the morning, so it was late.
Whoa,
because we had
hold on. I'm just noticing your shirt.
Oh yeah, man.
All your friends will want it.
Yeah, look to pass.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I try to dress to impress the guests.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if you saw mine. T-Rex hates push-ups. Yeah. That's a dad shirt right there.
For sure.
So you pull up to the border and you think somebody's going to be there.
Yeah, so we think someone's going to be there. No one comes for a long time. There was another car of people behind us.
Yeah.
Were you in the car behind us, or were you in my car?
I think I might have been ahead of you.
Oh, you went through before me. There were 3
I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't know what we were doing that night. I don't know if we went up for a wrestling event or just a drink and do go-karts or casino or strip clubs or somebody's birthday. I don't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
All I remember is that when we came back and I sat there was nobody for like 10 minutes. And finally I'm just like, well, they take pictures of your car when you drive up and stuff. They know we're here.
Yeah.
I'm going in. How long am I supposed to sit here? Because I know now, look, here's what was going on in the back of my mind that like gets lost. There are some border crossings in Vermont that have that like, hey, you just come in and then you're supposed to like declare yourself. But there's like legit a town that's built on the border where people just go back and forth all day and they don't do that.
Yeah.
So like, I'm kind of living in a world where like, all right, there's a little bit of they've taken my picture. They've seen my face. I wasn't trying to hide myself. You see, I got these same 3 knuckleheads I had on the way up. We're moving on. Obviously, if they're not going to come to the window, put up a sign at least. Put up a sign saying, hey, come inside or whatever. I'm not sure what they wanted us to do other than sit and wait, but I wasn't.
You're not that guy.
So we left. So we just started driving home. I mean, what is it, like 4 or 5 exits before we get to where we live? I mean, it's a sizable amount.
I mean,
of distance,
it's 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I'm like, fuck it, we're going home. So we get all the way to the exit, and we get all the way home with our car. But then we find out that the car behind us got stopped because they also waited. I think they said about 5-10 minutes, and then they also just drove through.
Yeah.
So they waited even longer because they were right behind us when
they were behind. Yeah, right.
And basically they decided to do the same thing, except for they caught up to them. Whereas me and the 3 people in my car got back into the country safely. So good job on your security there, America. And this was, like you said, after 9/11. So it was like it should have been after 9/11. It should have been heightened.
Right.
And I mean, we've seen the border where it was kind of like, oh, you're here. Hey, go on in. And then, you didn't even,
because it was that before 9/11. Yeah. It was that before 9/11.
Right. It was easy. It was a series of questions.
And really it was that up till a few years ago too. Like there was a period of a few years where they would like cavity search you for sniffing the border. Yeah. And like, but then after that, it kind of went away around like 2008-9. They're just like, oh, you're going to the casino? We'll see you in a few hours.
I mean, Canada's usually pretty easy about letting you in. They want you.
Yeah.
And then America started like, wait, what were you doing up there? Why did you leave us? And why did you come back? And why are you happy? And it's like, well, because Canada's better than you. So that's why we're here.
Yeah. Suck it.
But we live here, so we have to come back.
Mm-hmm. They tried to confiscate my Nerf gun one time. I don't know if you were with me or not, but
I don't think I was on that one.
Maybe, I don't know, but like they pop trunks every like 4th or 5th car, whatever. And I was that guy, and we had one of those Nerf arrow guns that has like the 6 arrows on the end of it. And they were like, they always ask, you have any weapons in the car? Like, no, sir. And then they're like, oh, pop the trunk, please. And we're like, yeah, no problem. And it's the only thing in there. Like there's nothing in there but a Nerf gun. And and so
like a kid's gangster movie, you just open up and you just grab out the piece and be like, I'm here with my 6 Nerf arrows.
Yeah. And like he's like, turn the car off and step out of the vehicle. So I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, great, somebody threw a bag of weed in there that I didn't know about or something like that. And like, I don't think any of us ever smoked that weed anyway, but things could happen. And and he's like, what's this? You said you had no weapons. I was like, sir, it's a Nerf gun. And like, I kind of had a smile on my face. And he was like, not smiling.
Right.
I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, I can show you how it works if you want. He's like, no, don't touch it. I'm like, sir, it's a child's toy. It's made of foam. He's like, oh.
Did you introduce this guy to Nerf?
I think I did. And this is on the American Crossing too. Like this is getting back in. Like you should know Nerf. You should know Nerf.
I mean, Nerf should have hit even Canada, but I didn't realize it was on the American side.
What if I shot him with it? What do you think would have happened?
I mean,
because it makes that big click sound, and like.
I mean, I hate to say this, but because of the color of your skin, you probably would have been fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Sadly, but yeah, it's weird to think about that kind of stuff. But yeah, if anybody else does that kind of stuff, sometimes you're in trouble. It depends on what era you live in and what's going on in the world. I think sometimes, like how serious they are about stuff. I definitely wouldn't try Nerf. I honestly, the minute you said it, I was like, oh, I would have checked my car and pulled that stuff out beforehand, because that's how nervous I am now. But then I wouldn't have given it a second
Never
thought.
thought about it.
Shit? Like I definitely went up and had like, old bats in my back trunk, like for softball or whatever, and never thought about them as a weapon. But I mean, I guess they are. Now I think about it. Then no way.
No. Stupid. Whatever.
Yeah. So what was the last we used to go, so one of the things we used to do when you go up to Canada is there'd be
on a Tuesday.
It could legit be like all of a sudden 11 o'clock on a Tuesday sometime, and we decide let's go 11 p.m. and we just go because Canada's kind of open all the time. So they had 24-hour go-kart places.
Yep.
One of which would let us change the track around if we wanted to, if it was late enough.
They let us race with the lights off one night.
Yep. I wasn't there for that one, but I did hear about it.
Well, like somebody had a bunch of flashlights and they're like, we're going to use these. Can you turn the lights off? And they're like, that's a great idea.
That's super fun.
Okay.
So you could go up to Canada, you could gamble, you could drink, you could go to the strip club if you wanted to. And then when all that
their
stuff
Dunkin'
is
Donuts
closed,
is better.
Oh, Tim Hortons, sir.
No. I get that. I know that. But even their Dunkin' Donuts is better.
That's actually true though, because I have had theirs, and you're right.
McCrockets at the
McDonald's
at the French
Kool-Aid
McDonald's.
McCrockets. Oh my God, there's like gravy in them. I don't even know how they do it. God, it's amazing. McDonald's in Canada, do it if you get a chance. So you could do all that other stuff. When all that other stuff closed, go-karts could be last. So no matter how drunk you were or how much money you'd lost at the casino, boom, that was the end of the night, and you could go race go-karts.
Absolutely.
And it was what a time. Like you couldn't do that stuff in America, so it was great because the minute we turned 18 you could go up. And I remember one time we took my cousin who we just talked about. I think he was with us. He was like 16 and he came with us, and we like went in a strip club, and they didn't give a shit.
We got,
she's like, come on.
Gene was like 14 and we got him in there. That was the same night.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just rolling with a bunch of, they're a lot younger than we are, so I mean, I think they just kind of assumed, look how old these guys look, they must be good. They just don't care. They're just like,
I don't think I was even 20 years old. I think I was 19.
Yeah, but that's legal up there, so you're good.
I know, but like, who's trusting me with this child?
Well,
Two
Canada,
children. Canada is.
Canada trusts you. Yeah, they're just like, come on in. It's cool. I mean, there's literally people on the streets fighting for you to come into their club. They don't ask you what your age is. They just get into a fight like, don't go to his club. His club stinks. His girls aren't fun. And then they just start handing you free stuff, and you kind of let them debate. It's fun. Yeah, I don't really like strip clubs, to be fair, but
I know you're American.
I do enjoy the ambiance that goes into and around it, and I like how excited the other people are to go. Because I mean, I got kicked in the head once, so I don't know if you were there for that one.
I was.
But we were sitting too close to the stage, and they just get going on the pole and got smacked in the side of the head with one of those big stripper heels, and I drank free the rest of the night. I do remember that.
Yep.
I don't remember much else about it though. She was sorry, but I don't remember her feeling any kind of particularly sorry that you would see at the beginning of a porno film. Like a lead story. I don't know much of that you've seen, but there's always some weak plot in a porno where it's like,
I'm aware.
Oh, you're in this place? I'm also in this place. Or, oh, I owe you a favor because you stopped the traffic for me so I could cross. And the next thing you know, it's just sex. It's like, life's not like that.
No.
Trust me. With the drought I've been on, it is not like that.
It really kind of resets your expectations for the real world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Unfairly, I might add.
Yes. I'm thinking about a class action lawsuit against porn.
Yeah.
Hey, so there it was, part 1 of Justin and I's conversation. This thing continues with a second part. Check the link for that. And also go check out his show, Uncommon Deeds, the motorsports podcast. It's a good listen because Justin's always a good listen. So go check out part 2.